You probably think of the finer things in life. This log may not conjure up any artistic feelings in you, but it does for one man. Jim Eckert does wood sculpturing for a living, but as you can see, he does it with a different tool than you're used to seeing.
The way it really all started, I was out cutting, and I just saw a branch, and I thought, well, if I cut a little off of that, I'd have a wing, and it started from there.
Since that time, Jim has created more than 3,000 items, ranging from his favorite, birds, to an 8-foot-tall Indian. Today, he was participating in Sawdust Days in Boonville, showing not only how it's done, but giving safety tips as well.
Yeah, we don't recommend it for everybody. In fact, we don't even promote it at all. We're promoting the use of the saw, what it can do and can't do. But you got to know what your equipment's going to do for you.
So what are the things that you have to worry about when you're doing your job?
Well, I got to watch the tip of the bar. I got to know what it's going to do and where it's at, because I'm going to get kickback, and that's what causes a lot of accidents. People don't understand what the tip or the speed of that saw is doing. That saw is running about 8,000 RPM. So when you don't get too many second chances, it takes a split second and you're done. If it can go through wood, it can go through you. So it's something you got to think about.
Like I said before, for most people, you just don't get that artistic feeling when you look at a log. In Boonville, Laura Gotchling, Channel 7.
Isn't this a great tree house? It belongs to Corey and Kana Shepherd. It was built for them by their dad, and it's really got a great way to get up here. You see, the steps are just cut into that log that leans up against the tree. And tonight we're going to meet somebody else who does something really interesting with trees and logs. His name is Jim Eckert, and he's a chainsaw sculptor. He sculpts eagles, all kinds of different animals, and with more and more people using chainsaws these days, he's talking chainsaw safety. So come on along to Boonville with Hal. He's going to introduce us to the chainsaw sculptor.
Meet Jim Eckert, the chainsaw sculptor. That's right, chainsaw sculptor. Jim works for a chainsaw manufacturer and travels a 4-state area in the Midwest, carving bald eagles, owls, and other animals from logs of cherry, walnut, willow, oak, or whatever's handy. We caught him in action near Boonville, Indiana, putting the finishing touches on an eagle. Jim doesn't make a living from his chainsaw sculptures. As a matter of fact, he usually gives them away. But at a recent Ohio State Fair, his chainsaw creations were sold and brought in enough money to send a dozen youngsters to forestry school. How in the world did he ever get started in the unique field of chainsaw sculpting?
Well, it was about 5 years ago, and I was in the woods, and I did happen to see a branch, and I thought if I cut a little out of that, I would have a wing. And that's where it started. I started from that point.
So what have you made? Birds, animals?
Yeah, several different items. Birds, owls, eagles, Indian maidens, Bibles, roses.
How long does it generally take you to finish a product or finish a sculpture?
Well, a lot depends on how big the log is. Sometimes I'll average from 30 minutes to 7 to 8 hours.
What wood do you find the most easiest?
The willow is the best I've found. And anything that's fresh cut, except locust, it's pretty hard.
Locust will eat a blade right out.
Yeah, me too.
How often do you go through blades? Seems like a lot of people, chainsaws, they really use the blades up fast.
Well, it's not so much going through the blade as often. The secret is to stay out of dirt. And a lot of people just won't admit they're hitting dirt. You got to watch the tip so you don't touch dirt. And, about 12,000 to 10,000 RPM saw, it's already gone around the dirt several thousand times.
More and more Americans are turning to firewood as a primary or alternate heating source. And that means the sale of chainsaws has mushroomed dramatically in the past few years. Even though it's a very young industry, the first chainsaw, for instance, were sold just 53 years ago. There were 2.5 million of them sold just last year. And with that big increase in the use of chainsaws, the number of chainsaw injuries has also shot upward. Last year, there were 105,000 chainsaw injuries reported. Now, that doesn't include the nicked fingers, legs, and arms that didn't require a doctor's attention. And this is where Jim comes in. He travels throughout the states of Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, and West Virginia, preaching the gospel of chainsaw safety.
Okay. The thing I want to show you first,
wrong way.
This is going to be number one wrong way, and you'll see it done all the time. Guys do this. Okay, now if, for example, I did that and my rope broke and my saw started at the same time, where would that saw go? Right down on my ankle or my leg, because I have no control with one hand out here. This is the leverage. The other thing is, guys do this. Again, if it started, I just hit my leg. Some guys do it this way. They pull. Now, if I had a bad compression or a compression lock on my saw and my rope stuck, the only place it can go is pull it right back to my face. Okay? 3 definite wrong ways to start a saw.
What is the right way? Is there more than one right way?
Yep. Okay, now, first of all, you put your foot in this loop. This is called a boot loop.
This is the correct way to start.
Absolutely. The next thing, my foot's in the loop, my hands aren't here. I have full control on this saw. Now, I'll turn it off first, and you can see it's not going anywhere. Regardless what I do, if my rope breaks, fine, my saw is going to stay on the ground. Now I'm going to start this saw. Okay?
That's the correct way to start.
Full control on the saw. Now, a lot of guys will say, what do you do with a little saw? Well, I can say climb on it, sit on it, do anything you want to. But I get down and put my knee on it.
Now, before you go carving your own eagles or owls or even sawing up your winter firewood, there are some basic things you ought to know about chainsaws and some basic equipment you should be wearing and using.
The most important thing you can have on a saw is a knuckle guard here. Because if my hand would slip for any reason, the only place it's going to go is into the chain. Okay? So get a knuckle guard on your saw. If your saw doesn't own one or have one, try to have one put on it or change. It's protect your fingers. The other thing is a safety latch here on the throttle. Only thing is when a branch goes in there, it's not going to let your chain go full RPM without you knowing it. You make yourself grab the handle by pushing this down, then your trigger works. And I think it's proper equipment and dressing properly to go to the woods to cut, even to the backyard.
By proper equipment, meaning what?
Well, I'm talking in good boots. In other words, a steel-toe shoe, so walk away from the woods with all your toes intact. You should have gloves, protect your fingers and for slips, and even handling chain, even though it's in turning, it can cut you. You should definitely wear earphones or ear muffs. Protect your hearing. You only have got 2 ears. And definitely either eye protection or a shield. Now, I wear a shield with helmet and a hard hat, gloves, and shoes. But also wear nice clothes, not a tux, I'm not talking to that, or a necktie or scarves. We're talking loose-fitting clothes, but comfortable, that you can escape or get out of the way quick enough without getting snagged in underbrush and so forth.
Jim Eckert is 46 years old. He has never had an accident, even though he handles that chainsaw like a scalpel. But he says misfortune can come to anyone using a chainsaw, and the best precaution is proper safety gear and proper use of the tool.